Hi, I'm Allie Rain, and this is my familiar, Cypher. I'm an award-winning fantasy author. My books are called the Necrosteam Chronicles. They are about a necromancer whose soul is trapped inside his twin as they go on epic adventures. If you want to learn more, you can go to ellierain.com, or you can go to Barnes & Noble and Amazon for more.
We are Tuatha, and we knew that you would probably request a particular song from us. This is our simple freebird, just for you. I want to tell you about some links that we've got going on. We have a tip jar. You can find that at paypal.me/Tuatha. It's the name of our band, Tuathadea. You can visit us on our website, tuathadea.com, where you can find all kinds of links, all kinds of pages. You can find our store with our merch and more. tuathadea.com/the-store-2. You can also find our mailing list on our website and sign up for all kinds of cool information. Visit us on our Patreon, patreon.com/Tuatha. We really appreciate you once again. Thank you for having us here.
Do you want to make sure your convention isn't a dud? Then contact the CONmods for all of your moderating and consulting needs. We've had the pleasure of working with Sean Schemmel, Adam Baldwin, Matthew Lewis, David Yost, Brian Michael Bendis, and many, many more. Find us at theconmods.com, a proud partner of CONjuration 2020.
Hello and welcome to Virtual CONjuration 2020. My name is Darin Bush, also known as the Professor. We have an illustrious gang today for Sorting the Good Place. Before we get into the details of what that means, I want to go ahead and have our panelists introduce themselves. I'm going to start down here with the wonderful and talented Olivia. Introduce yourself to our audience, please.
Hi, I'm Olivia. I am a Slytherin, and I've been paneling at CONjuration since it began. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else I should say.
That works. That's a good start. And then, Gary, will you introduce yourself?
No.
Okay, excellent. Hannah?
My name is Gary Mitchell. I am the co-director of the American Sci-Fi Classics track at DragonCon. I'm a writer, reviewer, podcaster, voice actor, I think I said, man about town. You can find me on the Twitters here. and I am both a fan of The Good Place and this particular type of panel. And Darin owes me money.
We'll talk about that later. Hannah, how about you? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Hannah. I have my trusty sorting hat to help us with this panel. The Good Place is probably one of my favorite shows. It's in the top tier, so I'm excited about that. I started paneling at CONjuration because I talked too much my first year during panels. So they were like, hey, do you want to be on one next year? So I've been paneling for the last couple of years. Super fun.
Excellent. Thank you. And Thom?
So my name is Thom DeSimone. I do a YouTube show on dragonmount.com called The Watt Community Show, where we talk about fantasy books. We've been focusing mainly on Wheel of Time, and yes, it is named The Watt Wheel of Time Community Show, but we do talk about other fantasy books as well. And I also work at JordanCon, which is another local Atlanta convention. I've been doing panels for a while now, and like Hannah, it was just, I talked a lot and inserted myself into enough situations where they were like, we should probably just give you a title and make you work officially for us. So that's kind of what happened.
Yeah. This really is a group of people that all got onto panels the old-fashioned way by just being obnoxious, I think is an accurate term. Assertive.
I'll take
Or
it.
cool.
Cool, but cool, yes, very cool and smart obnoxious, which is different than the other kind of obnoxious. So again, I'm Darin Bush. I'm one of the directors of programming at CONjuration. I've been doing panels at CONjuration for a little while now. And hello, Dina. And so what we're going to do is this panel is, first of all, let me be very clear. This is the Hangover panel. We are live. So grab your coffee and strap in. We're going to be sorting The Good Place. And I wanted to really quickly say that for those of you who aren't familiar, Chris came to me many, many moons ago and said, look, I want you to do the sorting panel. I want you to sort science fiction characters into their Hogwarts houses. And I said to him, that's a terrible idea. And he said, I'm the boss, you're doing it. And I went, okay. 12 minutes into that panel, I went, this is a great idea. And it was a great idea. And I think I've done like 100 of these sorting panels at this point. So we're going to be talking about characters from The Good Place in terms of their Hogwarts houses, if they had the sorting hat on their head like Hannah does. This is not a panel about how the sorting hat works. We can do that somewhere else, and we have.
Yeah.
So basically, we're focusing on the primary characteristics of the four houses. We literally don't have time to get into an argument about what a Gryffindor is.
Do you want to run down the list of what we consider?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're focusing on is the first primary adjectives. You can argue with me about this in the comments or later on the Discords. Gryffindor, brave. Ravenclaw, intelligent, or wise if you prefer. Slytherin's cunning, and the Hufflepuff's loyal. That's really where we're focusing. I'm well aware that on the webs you can find 75 adjectives for each house. We'll talk about that somewhere else if you really want to, and I do want to. Anyway,
and no split houses.
No split. Yeah, we're not. None of that. No, we don't have time for that either. Well, but we'll see. Now, obviously, some of you have been to our sorting panels before, and you know that we try and end the discussion of a particular character by letting the audience vote. It is going to be slightly more complicated here. We're going to do our best. So please throw comments up in the chat. We will do our best. The panelists and all of us, we will try and do our best to come up with a fair answer. But under the circumstances, I'm going to have to let the panel win ties, basically. The other thing, oh yeah, Gary's going, oh, I have the power. The other, like I said earlier, obnoxious. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to focus on a few characters, and we're going to really have a good time discussing and getting into them, especially because I think Good Place is an excellent time for the deeper discussions about what motivates these people. Because what motivates these people is the whole point of the show, really, if you look at it in one way. And Hannah has, because she's got the sorting hat, has been delegated the unpleasant duty of having to tell us when we've run out of time. So every once in a while, she's going to remind me that we need to shut up and vote so we can get more characters sorted. Okay. Any questions from the panelists? Oh, one other thing for the panelists is we're still doing the house cup. We're still doing house points. So if somebody in the comments says something really terrific or makes a very good point, call out that they get 5 points for their house. We've got somebody monitoring the chat, and they'll help us actually take care of finding out what house they're from and getting those points assigned. So don't stress about that. Just yell it out, and we'll get it taken care of. Okay, so any questions? We're good? All right, so we just sprinted through that. So let's see if we can make this work. I want to start with, we're going to start in the bad place. I want to start with somebody who may be easy to sort, but I'm hoping not. I want to sort Sean. Sean is
not Ravenclaw.
Not well, yeah, okay. That was a good start. Why not, Gary?
He's a little dim.
Yeah, that's to say to put it nicely.
Yeah,
it's a polite way of putting it. Oh, and
very politely to put it politely.
So how many Ravenclaws in the panel right now? I think Hannah is. So we got one Ravenclaw representing. Hannah, what do you think? Do you a couple of Slytherins, or is it three Slytherins?
Three.
I mean, I think he's fueled by ambition, so I would probably start with Slytherin for him. And that's not just because he's in the bad place. Not everybody in the bad place is a Slytherin, just putting that out there. But I would say that his main objective is ambition. So I would probably start with Slytherin.
Like, is it ambition? Like, is there anything that he's doing that's ambitious? Like, he's not trying to step up his place. He's not trying to gain power. I feel like the majority of what he's doing is just having fun and being petty and just poking the people in the good place. Like, he doesn't like, what is he ambitious towards other than just maintaining the status quo? Like, he doesn't want to change anything. He doesn't want to increase anything. He just wants to continue on. I mean, I would put him in Gryffindor, to be honest.
You think he's brave?
I mean, he puts himself out there a lot. He disguises himself as the judge. The
judge.
The creator and ruler and omniscient power in the entire universe. That's pretty brave and dumb.
I think his ambition comes from him wanting to make the bad place better and having everybody come to the bad place and keeping them all there. He wants the experiment to fail, to keep everybody in the bad place, and he's going to do everything that he can to make sure that it fails, so that way everybody will stay in the bad place and he keeps that level of power.
Well, is it that, or is that his mindset is that all humans are garbage, so they should go to the bad place, period? I mean, for him, it's just, that's the facts of life.
And the good place people would also probably want to increase the good place and get more people to the good place. So,
well, let me ask you a question. Is there any point in talking about Sean being a Hufflepuff? I would say
he
no.
needs to give us everybody, but no, probably not.
I don't think he's particularly loyal to anybody.
No, he's not loyal to anybody except himself.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
So.
I'm kind of going to Slytherin as much as I don't want it to be. I'm kind of going to Slytherin by default because he's not any of the other three.
1 more minute for discussion.
We need a gray hat.
A gray hat?
We need a medium place.
He's a medium place.
Well, so
I could see.
So next year we can decide which Harry Potter characters go to the medium place. But right now, so why not? So Olivia, what about you? Are you willing to take Sean into Slytherin?
I think so. I do think that Erica in the comments, I think she made a good point about having base impulses. I think that that's more Gryffindor. But I definitely would put him on the line between Slytherin and Gryffindor, but going into Slytherin.
I think the reason I would put Sean into Slytherin is because he isn't just any old architect or devil. He is in charge. And we see on camera how cutthroat and ruthless these people are and how petty they are. I mean, they're in charge of the bad place. That makes sense. I think he is extra. I think he wants to be head boy.
It's time to vote.
Okay, excellent. So at this point, want to see if we have anybody on the panel want to continue to say that he's a Gryffindor.
Now you convinced me.
Okay, so panelists Slytherin. I know the Slytherins are reluctant to put their hands up, but okay, all right. And I'm going to go ahead and put him down as a Slytherin. We have a unanimous decision from the panel, which happens very rarely.
Does anybody in the comments have anything to say differently?
Yeah. Any strong opinions from our audience? Very good point, Erica. Yep, it's kind of Slytherin by default.
Yeah.
Slytherin by default, which is, it happens.
He doesn't have much depth to him. He's pretty much everything on his surface, and it's mostly Slytherin.
I do like at the end they start turning him. But anyway, okay. So our next our next bad place representative that we want to sort is Michael, the architect, who is the whole point of this whole story. Somebody said before we got started that we might have to sort him twice, kind of like the Hulk, Dr. Banner, Batman, Bruce Wayne sort of conversation.
Well, at the beginning and the end.
Yeah. Okay. So does anybody think that we can sort him once, or do we need to sort him twice?
I think we could sort him once. I think he's a Gryffindor across the board.
Okay.
So I thought that at first, my first instinct was to go for Gryffindor, but then I thought that he would be a Slytherin because of his ambition to try to find a new way to do things. Like his first reason for creating this like neighborhood was to find a new way to torture people. And like his whole like backstory of being in the bad place was that he was like a lowly like 9 to 5, and then he was like, okay, I want to create this big thing, I want this to work, and I want this ambition to move forward and become this architect. So that whole ambition is there, and then he has this loyalty to, you know, the core 4 that we have. So that's like that family Slytherin loyalty that made him kind of like switch sides. And then even so, like he has the ambition when they go to like the actual good place to make the good place better. So I think like we can't put all Slytherins in like the evil Slytherin sort of place. And I don't think that he was necessarily brave like a Gryffindor, because of how he like ended up handing the reins over to Eleanor when the actual experiment happened.
Okay.
I would argue directly with that to say that is very brave. Like he from the beginning he's brave. He goes against like the bad place's logic and process that has been in place for billions of years, and
an entire barony.
Yeah. I love it. And then he, when he flips that's also incredibly brave. Like when he becomes a better version of himself, that's just as brave and daring as he was, turning the bad place on its head. And then to relinquish control to somebody is also bravery. Like that's not a like a cowardice type thing. That's he knew that he was in a bad forgive the pun, that he was in a bad place at the time, and and Eleanor was the best suited to carry out what needed to be done, and that's brave to be able to do that.
See, I'm going to go in a different.
We focus on those, like the single adjectives.
Yeah, I'm kind of going to agree with one of our commenters.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Ravenclaw.
Ravenclaw.
Ravenclaw, because the whole thing started as a plan of his, of I have a better idea. And he does not give up on that idea. And he sticks with that idea through 800 and some attempts before he goes, okay, well, my plan doesn't work. I've got a new plan. I'm teaming up with them. I think he is very much driven by that. He's not a great intellect, because here's the thing. You can be driven by your intellect and be bad at it.
Yeah. But I feel like that's such a Gryffindor thing. Like I have a plan, it's not a good one, and it's contrary to everyone else's plan, but I'm going to do it, and then I'm going to slam my head into the wall of this plan until it works. And then when it doesn't
but why
work,
are you slamming it? Because you're so ambitious that you want to make it work.
But that's not Ravenclaw quality.
Yeah, that's a Slytherin quality.
Yeah, so I mean, like, like the argument can be made for Slytherin or Gryffindor. I feel like, but I don't think he's a Raven. Like, he doesn't value intelligence.
It's time to vote.
Oh boy, yeah. So I got to say really quickly, this is an indication of a well-written character.
Oh yeah.
When we're deciding between 3 or 4 different houses. When this group of people can't decide to get it even down to 2 houses, that's an indication of a really well-developed character. So, all right, panelists, let's do through this. Does anybody want to say Hufflepuff? Ravenclaw? I know Gary's gonna.
No, I was making the argument, but Oh, Olivia does though.
I
so
still think Ravenclaw.
So we got Gary Ravenclaw or not?
He
Oh,
says
he's going Gryffindor. Okay.
Tom
So
convinced me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go
Gryffindor
Gryffindor, guys. And Hannah, what did you want to say?
I'm still stuck.
Okay. So
yeah.
we need to. Anybody in our audience want to support the Gryffindor vote? I think Erica's been all over the map too with the rest of us. Oh no, she said Ravenclaw at one point.
Yeah, I think she said Ravenclaw too. Oh,
well,
our
guys,
voting time is done.
Okay, I think I'm gonna have to call this one for Gryffindor.
Gryffindor.
I mean, I want him in Slytherin, but
yeah, obviously, we had a really good debate going there. We could spend a lot more time on Michael.
Oh yeah.
Maybe we can revisit this later, but I definitely think the numbers are for. We're going to go with Gryffindor. Okay, so the next one is going to be. I think this one's going to be fun. I hope it's not too easy. What about Janet? And let me say, for the record, we're going to start with good Janet. I know there are 3 Janets.
At least.
There's more than 3.
At least. Oh yeah, well, Disco Janet. Okay, so but there's
so what about Janet?
Oh yeah, that's right. So what about good Janet? I'm going to stay away from automatically going, she's a Ravenclaw. Just because she has access to all the information of the universe doesn't automatically make that what drives her.
Well,
now, it might, but
the other question is which iteration of Janet, not as in the different Janets, but is Janet 1.0 when we meet her at the beginning of the series, or Janet 70 Baramy when she's been rebooted so many times that she actually has become a full-fledged, sentient being, not just a walking Wikipedia.
Well, I think we have to go with the rebooted Janet just because she actually starts to have more human qualities instead of robotic qualities.
There's a reason for that, though. She starts to get human qualities because even without any human feeling, her desires to learn more about humans and figure out how they work, which that's Ravenclaw. I mean, like, forgetting about the fact that she's a repository for all knowledge in the universe, her drive is to learn more, whether it's programming or even as she increases is an innate desire of hers. Like that's what her driving force is to learn more. For no reason. Yeah. Like, she knows everything, and she doesn't have a reason for it. She just wants to know everything.
And in the final season, when they're saying like they're going into the archway or whatever, and they ask Janet like what's beyond this archway, and she's like, I don't know. It's the only thing I don't know, and it bothers me. That's such a Ravenclaw thing.
Such a Ravenclaw thing to say.
Yeah.
Olivia?
Yeah.
I'm inclined to agree with the audience with Hufflepuff, just because I think that in her learning more, one of her greatest desires there is like to become more loyal. Like in becoming more human, she's becoming more loyal to everyone she meets, which I think is a very like Hufflepuffy trait.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go Hufflepuff. As soon as we got 4 or 5 really good comments about Hufflepuff in the chat, and I'm just sitting there going, "Oh yeah, absolutely." Now, is she programmed to be loyal, or is she actually that's her personality? Doesn't matter. I don't think it matters.
Here's my argument for Hufflepuff, and it comes almost from like the very beginning when we first meet her. Her urge is to be helpful. Her primary drive is to be of service and help people by giving them knowledge that they need, and in a safe way. When that very first episode, when she goes, I can't tell you what the bad place is like, but I can play an audio clip.
Yeah.
And
the audio clip.
Yeah.
We do see that like she's like at some point we understand that she's kind of being forced. She's kind of almost like a slave to them. Like she's being forced to be helpful and useful, and she doesn't exactly like it very much when she starts to get sentience. And
the thing is, one of her driving when she starts to become sentience is her relationship.
Yeah, with the people that she picked, and
falling in love.
Well, yeah,
but I think she's also very fascinated by the humans, and that's what part of like why she's with Jason and stuff is because she's just so fascinated by him.
Yeah,
and like by learning about his actions.
Yeah, and you don't get any more human than Jason. And so with Janet, I think that
Jacksonville.
It's time to vote.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I'm also going to go Hufflepuff. So if I'm counting correctly, the panel is close to a tie here. Who on the panel is going to go Hufflepuff at this point? I think Olivia said Hufflepuff too. Okay, so we've got the panel is the majority's going for Hufflepuff. The chat absolutely. Leah's harassing me in the chat. I'm trying to focus, and Leah's harassing me. But the chat absolutely went Hufflepuff very strong, very quickly. So we're going to go ahead and give Janet to Hufflepuff. Excellent. Now, Hannah's comment about Jason is perfect because Jason's the next person on the list. You don't.
Do we have to discuss him very long? Because it's pretty obvious.
Yeah. No.
What do you mean?
He's default Gryffindor. He's Gryffindor.
He's Gryffindor.
Yeah.
Is he? Just because he blows stuff up?
I think he is so driven by loyalty to Pillboy, loyalty to his dance crew.
His drive isn't loyalty. His drive is, I want to do the cool thing and be out there, and I want everyone to see me do it. Like that's a Gryffindor.
He acts before thinking. He's super chivalrous to Janet. Like, think about how chivalrous he is. He's always out there doing stuff and finding adventures and being brave. Like he was the first one whenever they're discussing something, he's not afraid to tell whoever it is that they're talking about that, oh yeah, we were just talking about you. We were talking about how you shouldn't be the leader anymore. He's totally a Gryffindor, straight up.
In the party, if this was a D&D party, he would be the let's run in face first and kill the thing.
He is Leroy Jenkins.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to throw a Molotov cocktail.
Yeah. And so I love that he embraces Janet as a person, not as a human being, but as a person. And really feels
not a girl,
which is one of my favorite lines of dialogue ever. Not a girl.
Every time they say it,
not a girl. So Jason's affection toward an artificially generated holographic Wikipedia, essentially, is so human, and he's so open and aware. I don't really see him as a Gryffindor, because being Gryffindor, I'm one of those that likes to argue that brave stupid isn't automatically Gryffindor brave. Although, I know I'm outvoted. But even on the panel, I'm outvoted. But Jason is really loyal. He's loyal to his bros. He's loyal to his dad.
It's not necessarily the stupidity part of it. It's the his draw. The first thing anyone thinks about when you think about Jason, and the first thing that he does in every situation, even when they're sitting in the judge's chambers, he's the first thing he says is should I blow it up? Get I can make a Molotov cocktail. It's always the first thing that he says, and not the fact that it's dumb, because it's not always dumb. Sometimes it works. It's just that's him.
I've kind of been swayed by the arguments, especially that his default setting is charge.
And
Olivia?
think about,
He's definitely a Gryffindor.
no, go ahead, Olivia.
I agree with Hannah. I don't think that there's any argument to be made. I think he's a Gryffindor.
Oh boy, I'm getting outvoted all of a sudden here. Okay, so is anybody on the Hufflepuff wagon with me still? No. Okay, apparently not. So I noticed that Anna, where was Anna's comment? I don't know if it's appeared on the screen yet or not, but Anna says, Jason Mendoza is a Gryffindor. Don't take this away from me.
Yeah, before we started this panel, I told her I was going to be on this, and she said, if you don't sort Jason into Gryffindor, I'm not talking to you anymore. So that would have been really awkward since she's across the room.
Okay, so let's do this for Hannah's sake. Let's see if anybody besides me wants to put him in Hufflepuff. I'm not. Come on, chat people. Come on, somebody back me up here. Okay, all right. Well, then I guess we're gonna have to give Jason to Anna. I mean Gryffindor.
My initial instinct was Hufflepuff, but I was convinced.
You know what? Being a Gryffindor, I don't like the fact that Thom and Gary and everybody else around me just goes, "Oh, that was really stupid. Put him in Gryffindor."
How often has his charge into situations first trumped his loyalty, though?
Every time.
Yeah. So.
We're in voting time, just so y'all know. I know we already voted.
I think we're good. It's nice to have a couple of spare minutes here. So how about Tahani,
Slytherin.
whose last name I'm not going to try and pronounce?
Al-Jamil.
Al-Jamil.
Thank you. I'd like to think that Tahani is more complicated, but boy, is she a Slytherin?
Yeah,
Gary's already going up there.
Her number one drive is ambition to top her sister because of the way their parents made her and her sister this entire lives a competition.
Yeah.
Which
so one of the
is
things
tragic, but
it is very tragic. I love her character arc. I love watching her self-realization. I mean, the actress does a fabulous job of on her face going, my whole life is wrong. She does that often, and it's beautifully. She does a great job.
Which Draco does often too. Yeah,
I mean this goes back to Draco is on exactly where I was just about to go. This goes back to all the Weasleys are Gryffindors. Why? Why do they all have to be Gryffindors? Draco is a Slytherin because his parents made him be a Slytherin. Sirius Black rejecting being a Slytherin. Why is Tahani a Slytherin? I think it's because her parents kind of pushed her in that way and in almost an abusive way.
Mm-hmm.
Very much so. But she was still, even when she was trying to do good, it was, and how does this make me look good at the same time?
Yeah.
Right.
Even when she was like a fully realized, like at the end of the series, Tahani, she was still kind of leveraging things to be in her favor. Like even when she was running charity or whatever, and like, not really having any money, she was still like filthy. She gave all her money away and then became rich again immediately, while being a charity, like running a charity and all that stuff. So
I think at the end, though, just to like give her some credit, she did use her ambition in like better ways to like she made this bucket list for herself to, I want to do all of these things before I go, through this archway. And those were like things that she wanted to do to better herself. But it was still like an ambition thing. Like, these are things I want to do. And then she decided, I don't want to go through the archway. I want to keep being better. And I want to be an architect, which is very, very Slytherin, very ambitious. Like, I want to do something nobody's ever done before because only the like beings or whatever, no human's ever been an architect. So I think like, although when she was a human and she was using the ambition in like not so good ways and negative ways, I think eventually she came into herself and started using her ambition to better herself.
Her cunning is like crazy too. Like she would be like the spy master if this was like, that type of setting. Like I could see her being what's his name from Game of Thrones? The eunuch.
Littlefinger?
Yeah, no, the eunuch.
Varys.
Varys, yeah.
Yeah.
She deals in information too. Like she's constantly collecting information about people so that she can use it later. And that's a whether for good or for evil. That's her choice. Yeah. But like,
and I definitely want to give her credit for she wasn't selfish, driven, evil, cunning ambition. She was usually trying to make a better place. It just also had the side benefit of boosting her as well.
So Olivia, did you want to add anything about Tahani before we vote?
I think that what you said, like, I think that she, like, the abusive life she had on Earth is what originally made her a Slytherin, and then like Hannah said, she made herself a Slytherin. Like, so I think that she is ultimately a Slytherin, but I don't know if she would have been that way had she not been abused growing up.
Yeah, it's a very good point. I saw Erica's chat come up on the screen there. Erica, you've said some great things during this panel, but I want to disagree with you here because being clever at being ambitious doesn't make you a Ravenclaw. It makes you a Slytherin.
Time to vote.
I think we've got going to get an extra minute here. Does anybody on the panel have anything?
The being the moderator.
Yes, it is. Does anybody have anything against her going into Slytherin at this point? Okay. Well, Erica, like I said, it's a good point, but I have to disagree. So we're going to give Tahani to Slytherin. We're going to sit her at the table with Slughorn and give her about 2 days before she's in charge of that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And okay, guys, here we go. Home stretch. Cheaty. Ooh.
Huff.
Hufflepuff?
Yeah, you know what? I can see that.
Chidi is a tough one because, yeah, he is driven by the ethics and knowledge, and he seems like a Ravenclaw at first. But the simple fact that at the very beginning, they put him with Eleanor because they know he won't betray her. Once he takes her into his confidence, he sticks with it. And then he keeps getting into worse and worse situations because he keeps getting stuck with more and more people he's loyal to. Because it's Eleanor, then Jason gets drawn in, and then Tahani gets in, then Michael gets drawn in.
Mm-hmm.
That.
I mean, he literally has moral conflicts forced upon him by the architects and by the bad place in order to torture him. He's tortured by his loyalty to multiple people who have conflicting interests.
By default.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's default.
I have a stomachache.
By default, he doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings or anybody at any time ever, even the people who are actively hurting him. And his loyalty and his drive, even for his drive for attaining the knowledge that he has, is so that he could figure out the answer to what to do in situations to not cause any harm.
Yes.
It's not like his intellectualism isn't the drive. Like he's not an intellectual for intellectual sake. His driving force to become an intellectual is that moral ground, which is why I agree for Hufflepuff 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did we, Olivia? Go ahead, Hannah.
No, go ahead, Olivia.
I think that Anna kind of has a good point with him being driven by knowledge, but I think that the knowledge he gained is what led him to be a Hufflepuff, because he wanted to gain knowledge about ethics, which is such a Hufflepuffy thing. Like, how can I be a better person? And so I think that that's what ultimately tips him over the edge.
Yeah. How can I cause no harm to anyone ever?
I mean, he isn't just loyal. He's studying how to be loyal.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so I think Thom and Olivia have it right. Is his primary driving ambition, which is what the Sorting Hat is after, is he wants to be the best person he can to everyone he can be the best person to.
And then he wants other people to be the best person, which I think is very Hufflepuff.
He's the best in everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because this goes back to Cedric Diggory being a heroic Hufflepuff. Cedric wasn't there for Hufflepuff to win. He was there for the best person to represent the school and everybody to win, which is very, very, very heroic Hufflepuff to me. So I would put Chidi right next to Cedric.
Yeah,
in the book.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
So anybody have any strong opinions about him not being Hufflepuff? I'm looking at our audience to see if there's any chat. I think we convinced Anna to come over to Hufflepuff. Yeah, Erica, that's exactly right. That's exactly where we're heading. He's so brilliant, but so was Hermione. Hermione was a Gryffindor. So was Draco.
Mm-hmm.
Draco was a Slytherin. So
it's what drives that thirst for knowledge.
Yeah.
Right.
If it's knowledge for knowledge's sake, then it's definitely Ravenclaw. If it's knowledge, in this case, to be a better friend.
Yeah. Think about it this way. One way that I like looking at the Sorting Hat is take that person out of the story, and then how does everybody else's life change? Hermione not being a Gryffindor, no story at all. Harry dies in the first book. But having Chidi not be in the bad place, Michael never turns. Okay, so anyway, thank you, Hannah. All right, here we go.
Tough.
Eleanor.
We didn't vote. Are we going to vote?
I think everyone was.
Pretty sure Chidi was Hufflepuff. I didn't see any.
Tough. Yeah, it was pretty much unanimous.
I'm sorry. I
just
should have
wanted
announced.
to make sure that we're solid.
No,
on
that's
Puff.
all right. That's all right. I love that we converted Anna on one of these. That's great. Okay, Eleanor. Does anybody have a feeling about Eleanor? I don't think so.
No. To me, she's a Slytherin.
Yeah.
Like Eleanor in the beginning of the show is the negative qualities of Slytherin. Like she is essentially like the evil Slytherin. And then by the end of the show, she's the more positive qualities of a Slytherin and still a Slytherin.
Right.
Okay. So
it's all about her at the very beginning. It's she is manipulative, conniving, does not give one hoot, since in morning panel, about other people. It's all about how she can twist things to be her. It's like one of the great moments in the early bits when she's talking about selling the fake drugs, and Chidi has to go, no, that's worse. You realize that's worse, right?
Yeah. And it's a defense mechanism a little bit in the beginning, especially with her, because of her, her upbringing and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Olivia?
I think her ability to do so well selling the fake drugs and just like the lack of remorse there is very Slytherin. Like just doing it, she was doing the best at her job and didn't really care about like the negative repercussions. And I think that's very Slytherin.
Yeah, I'm gonna steal something that Chris said yesterday, and she's like the ultimate used car salesman. Like that's. Like every used car salesman, every driving salesman, loan officer, stock exchange people, you have to have this fast talking, convincing, clever, extremely forward-facing ambition that convinces people to do things. And that's Eleanor. Eleanor can convince anyone to do anything. That's the show. That's literally the show.
Yeah. And at the start, that complete lack of empathy.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of the story of the show, is her learning empathy. She still kind of cares about herself, but she broadens it to care about her circle. But she's still, even when she's good, Eleanor, by the end, she's still kind of, what's best for her is also what's best for everybody else.
Yeah. And she will, and she'll fight them too. Like she'll let Jason go throw a Molotov cocktail at somebody if it means defending the group.
Yeah, I mean, she was able.
Go ahead, Hannah. Go ahead.
Sorry. She was able to convince Chidi at the very beginning, like, yeah, I'm not supposed to be here, but I need you to help me. And I feel like that's, using her resources around here, her very resourceful, and making sure that she stayed there in the good place because she didn't want to go to the bad place. So that was a very Slytherin move right off. And just the fact that she was able to use her cunning and her resourcefulness to figure it out every single time that the neighborhood was rebooted, and then running the neighborhood once they did the experiment was just, very Slytherin all the way.
Yeah, and then coming up with the arch at the end, and even at her best at the very end, she kept Chidi around for like half a Baramy because she could not give him up.
Yeah,
exactly.
She's always finding ways to twist things, like to game the system to make things work. And it's not because she wants to see if it'll work. It's because she's like, I want it to be like this, so I'm going to twist everything, even within the rules, and bend them to the point of breaking to make it work the way I want it to, which is a Slytherin type of quality.
See, I actually think that the Eleanor we meet at the beginning is absolutely a Slytherin, again, for the same reason that like Draco is, or that Sirius Black was supposed to be. She's made into a person who has to take care of herself, literally has to raise herself. And she is neglected by both of her parents to the point where she has no one but herself. Her circle is very, very tight and very small. I actually like Eleanor for Gryffindor because
of course you do.
Well, no, hold on, wait, hear me out. Eleanor's character arc is one of the most amazing I've ever seen in a series that is supposed to be a comedy. I mean, this is billed as a comedy, guys, and her character arc is incredibly deep and it's dark and it's heroic. She is the reason why the whole universe is saved, not because of Chidi's loyalty and morality and ethics, but because Eleanor goes, I am wrong about everything. It's time for me to change that. I will change that. I know I'm not going to convince any of the Slytherins about this, but that is an incredibly brave thing to do, to put yourself on the chopping block and go, I'm the reason why this is screwed up. I need to unscrew this up.
I totally agree with you. Oh, my bad.
Hannah?
No, you're good. I wanted to let him do his Gryffindor, but it is time to vote.
Okay. I appreciate that. So panelists, are the four of you all going Slytherin with this?
Yeah,
Slytherin.
Because you're wrong, Darin.
Anybody? Did I convince anybody in our audience that there might be some Gryffindor leaning there? No, nobody's going to back me up. Okay, it's not.
The change the universe because I'm right, Darin, is a Slytherin trait.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it makes you feel better, I did have a hard time sorting her when I originally sat down and wrote all my notes on this.
Mm-hmm.
And Gryffindor was one that I was leaning towards, but I did eventually convince myself that it was Slytherin. So I'll give you that bone.
I'm going to call out Gabriel because he said Snake Queen 100%. Give him 5 points for whatever house he's got. That's totally her. She would be head girl in Slytherin. That would be her driving force.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that goes back to part of why we have this conversation is because Dumbledore said it in the books. We sort too early. We sort too early, and Michael is an evidence of that. Eleanor is absolutely evidence of that. I don't mind being completely outvoted on that, but I'm going to put a G on that one on my list. Okay, guys, great. I'd like to thank all of our panelists and all of our chatters in the audience. Eric has got gazillions of great comments there. Everybody contributed, which we appreciate. We do need to pay the bills here, so let's do this. What we would like for you to do is, if you like the Sorting Hat panels, if you've got Sorting Hat panel ideas for future conjurations, which there will be, hopefully live in 21, please let the bosses, let the heads know, and we will keep doing this because you can tell we love doing this. So let's do this. Let's go around the horn and remind everyone who you are and where they can find you on the interwebs, if that's appropriate. I'm going to start on our fabulous timer, Hannah. Let her go first.
Hannah Ravenclaw. I'm going to be in some more panels this weekend. So I have another one at 1, that's the Crime in Hogwarts, and then another one at 2 today, which is going to be, Interhouse Relationships is at 1 and Crime in Hogwarts is at 2. So that'll be fun. And then I got another Sorting Hat one on Sunday at 3. So you can hear me talk more then.
Excellent. Olivia?
I'm Olivia. I'm a Slytherin, and y'all can hear me talking throughout the weekend. I'm not sure when my panels are. But I know I'm on Hannah's panels this afternoon. And if y'all want to find me, I'm on TikTok at Olivia L. Like Olivia, but without an O.
I'm going to look.
Excellent. Thom?
My name's Thom DeSimone. So you could, if you look me up, if you look up dragonmount.com and you navigate to their YouTube stuff, you'll find me and links to my Twitter and stuff like that through there. And we're going to be doing the Double the Dresden file tonight at 4, or this afternoon at 4. I'm excited for that one. Dresden is one of my favorite theories.
Gary?
Yes, I am also on that panel at 4 about the other wizard named Harry. You can find me on the Twitter here. And you can also find me if you go to the DragonCon American Sci-Fi Classics group on Facebook by going DragonCon group/American Sci-Fi Classics. We have a YouTube channel. We do panels every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. This week is actually a good one because it's my birthday next week, and so we're doing an AMA for me. So that's going to be cool. And you can find me here working for Darin or at DragonCon ordering Darin around.
Yeah, absolutely. The convention scene in Atlanta is very incestuous. Gary's my boss one week, I'm his boss the next week. It's great.
Giggity.
Yeah. So I am Darin M. Bush. I have an author's page on Amazon. You can see my sci-fi and fantasy short stories up there. I just recently added a couple, hoping they'd be ready for CONjuration, and they are. I'm also doing, I think I'm doing 1 or 2 more things this weekend. Not sure. We'll see. And, and thank you, everybody, for joining us for this Sorting Hat panel. We had a lot of fun. So now what we're going to do is we're going to say goodbye to CONjuration, at least for a few minutes. See you guys later. Bye.
Bye.